Alrighty, we're back. You wanted to talk a little bit about Women in the FGC?
Yes, I did want to talk about this because there's been stuff that's been going on, and it just makes me frustrated because I felt like we were kind of getting past some of these stupid things, but it seems like things are still happening, and and this is on the heels of, like, for example, we have like Tanakana out there who's doing super well in Tekken.
Did she just make top 8? Did I just say that?
Yeah, she was just in top 8. Supergirl Kells getting top 5 in the tournament over there.
It was a major as well. It was GOML.
Right, GOML. And so just recently a couple of things have been really bothering me. So there was a girl by the name of Toffee who won her local. And, kind of made a big deal. It was a big news because she won her local. She's 15 years old. Right, and I thought that was super cool. And I thought that was great. It's one of those things that's like a great story. It's like good to tell and everything like that. And then the worst thing about it is I didn't even hear about any of this happen, but I saw you retweet her thread where basically she just started getting really mad about people asking if she was a trap, and again, don't use that word. It's a stupid word. It's an offensive term. But it's just like, I saw like a quote was like, oh, you must be a trap because I don't know any girl who would be this into anime or something like that. And it's just like 15-year-old girl coming out here and yelling at you and basically like, don't do this. It's offensive. It hurts people's feelings.
Yeah, good job to her for tweeting that stuff back.
Like that tweet, that tweet chain that she had that came out was not easy, but it was also way beyond her age. You know what I mean? Like the maturity that she handled that tweet thread. You know what I mean? That thread. But it's just like really? Like it's not just one person. It's like multiple people I know have made that kind of comment, right? And it's just like, dude, it's like, get over it at this point in time. I'm sorry, girls play video games. Girls are hella good at video games. They like video games. They like geek nerd stuff. Like, this is exactly what...
like, not recent phenomenon.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like girls for the last 25 years. Dude. Like, if you're 30 and under, pretty good chance of, like, everybody plays video games.
Right. I mean, I'll see if I can find the tweet later on and get it in the chat if somebody else can actually put that in there. But even, for example, like, I had a book a long time ago that was all about arcade games. Like, this was, like, during the freaking Centipede and like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man age, right? And Pac-Man statistically was played by 55% women and 45% males. Like, there's nothing about video games that says that women don't enjoy it. It's just that at one point in time, they just stopped being marketed towards women.
Ding.
Right? It's like, hey, let's make this racing game and let's put this random bikini-clad girl.
This literally happened to me not long ago. So my significant other and I, for my birthday, she took me to a local barcade, and she played video games growing up, but then didn't for a long time, in part because of this. It started to get like really like she didn't want to like deal with the marketing.
Right? Yeah.
So we played. I think it was Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer.
I forget which one it was. But what's the name of the one where the map doesn't change? It's just the little like road that you're on. It's an overhead view.
Super off-road? No.
I don't remember. And then in between rounds, you buy upgrades and stuff.
Yeah.
In any case, there's like bikini girls all over it.
Yeah.
And so that's weird for her. Like, I wouldn't want to deal with that. Like bikini dudes all over it. It'd be just why? Why am I dealing with this?
You know what
I just wanted to play a video game with my girlfriend, and it got weird.
Honestly, one of my favorite things.
I think it was Outrun.
Outrun. Oh yeah. One of my favorite things is at Defend the North, when they were playing, Daiminian was using Ed, and everyone just kept talking about Ed's bulge. And everyone's like, why is this bulge here? And blah, blah, blah. They're all talking about it, and like you could tell how uncomfortable so many people were. And I'm just like, welcome to what like all women go through when they play video games, right? Like this is exactly basically what happens all the time. Right, yeah, and you just have to deal with it. But I mean, back to the point at hand, I just think what happened with Toffee was just a terrible, terrible thing. Like, I'm so mad about that. Like, a 15-year-old girl has to go through this, and the fact that she had the maturity to be able to come out and call it out and turn it into something like this, because that could just basically ruin somebody at 15 years old, right? Like, let's talk about, like people are more, like like when I talk about like Punk being 18 years old and losing Evo and how much that hurts and he's a young kid and everything like that, everyone's like, yeah, man, he's young or whatever. And then like you're saying like, dude, this is a 15-year-old girl who has to have people questioning about her genitals, basically. Like they're literally talking about a 15-year-old girl in a way that you should not be talking about at all. And, you know, like that kind of sensitivity, and you should have that same kind of reaction. Like how, like, why would she even want to stay in the fighting game community? Why would she even want to stay playing video games at this point in time, right? And on top of that whole entire thing, and, you know, look, I know, you know, full disclosure, Sherry's super good friend of mine, right? So I'm always rooting for her. I'm always helping her, giving her advice and stuff like that, right? She got 13th place at Defend the North.
Yeah.
And she beat K-Brad to get out of her pools and loser side.
Yeah.
And K-Brad was holding that. He was putting a lot of gifs, like, of pictures of himself going, you know, stuff like that. He was holding that. He was respecting it. But everybody started saying, like, oh, well, this tournament must not have been good. Like, oh, obviously there's nobody good there. Like, I don't know if people know, but Sherry has been putting in a lot of work. Yeah. From a lot of the matches that I've seen her play, I still remember at final round, she almost beat Joel over there, and she should have beat him, but she cracked. And it's one of her biggest weaknesses. It's always been her biggest weakness, is that she gets in her own head, right? And at Defend the North, she played particularly solid and emotion-free and 13th place.
It's awesome.
And that's a great stuff for her, right? So she's playing really well now. She's doing really well. And in fact, I think she had momentum against Kami, but then I think somebody's controller like paused the game or something like that, and she ended up losing to Kami or something like that. I don't know the exact details. Yeah. That could be completely false, but that was what I gathered from what people were talking about. But she's been doing really well, and I just think at this point in time, it's like, let's just stop talking about this. Like, let's stop treating it this way. I mean, I have this whole... Man, I really want to just, like, go on this whole soapbox thing, but, like, I don't know if, like, we have time or if we, like...
Hey, if you want to, I mean, it's all you. It's all you.
Because it's like...
I'm with you on all these points.
Yeah, because, like, I'm just, like, really frustrated about it. And the thing about it is, the way that I want to say this, because the hardest part about this is whenever people hear about this, I guess we're doing a kind of like a pseudo-uncensored here, like, with me getting mad about this right now on the Tuesday show. But, like, you know, it's one of those things, I've talked about this. The problem with it is like, you talk to guys and you're like, stop being insensitive to girls, stop being, like, rude to girls and whatever like that. And the guys are like, I'm not sexist, I'm not mean to girls, like, that's not me, or like, how dare you claim that I'm that way. And again, it's like, I don't, like, people talk about that, the geek test, the nerd cred thing, like, you see a cosplayer, like, what do you know about Psylocke? You know, and like, do you actually know her real name? Blah, 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 all these things, right? And the funny thing about it is, I genuinely don't think it's insidious. I don't think it's like people are like, oh, I need her to prove that she's a true geek. What I actually think it is I call it the magical unicorn scenario. Okay. Where you want unicorns to exist, but whenever you see it, you're like, no, I can't believe this no, this is not true. Yeah. And so you ask these questions because you want it to be proven in a weird way, right? But the problem is, it's like, let's say your neighbor has a talking dog. Let's just say your neighbor has a talking dog, and you meet this talking dog, like, I don't believe this dog can talk. And the dog starts talking, right? And you're like, what's the definition of anti-establishmentarianism? And the dog gives you the perfect answer, and you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. You know, like you want to make sure that this dog isn't a trick, like the horse that could do math, right? There was the story of the horse that could do math. Right. But the horse would do math by looking at his owner's face. You're right. And every time the owner did the satisfied look, he would stop. Like, there's a trick to it. So you want to make sure that it's not a trick. Like, you want to make sure that it's real, right? But here's the problem, and this is where it gets everybody. This is where everybody falls into the problem, right? Is that when you see the talking dog, your neighbor has a talking dog, you sit there and you're like, why doesn't my dog talk? Okay. This sucks. Like, why is my dog not talking? Uh-huh. And then you're just kind of like, you know what? Fuck that dog. That dog is an ugly dog. It's a stupid breed. It's not a good breed. My dog is a better breed. I don't care that it talks. Right? It's just because there's just this natural thing. So, like, the weird thing about it is when you see girls who are good at video games, like, there's this weird subconscious thing, and I hate saying this because I know people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but it's like, you want to be their friend now because it's like, this girl plays video games, super cool, and you probably, like, I will probably never be friends with this girl. This girl will probably never talk to me. This girl will probably never give me a time of day. You know what? She's probably brainless. You know what? She probably sleeps with everybody. You know what? She's probably a trap. Like, you have to justify it in some way. You know what I mean? And this is the magical unicorn thing. Your neighbor has a talking dog. Your neighbor has a magical unicorn. You don't. And so you have to downplay it in some way. And I think that's where it comes from mostly. So I don't think it's just like people are like really, really mad. You know, or like they're like every time they say, yeah, malicious. Like they're not trying to be malicious, but it's just this weird accidental justification because you always want to be like, I mean, it happens all the time with everybody with everything. Like if you see someone else has something, like if you like if you showed up and you're like, dude, I just bought my brand new Toyota Corolla. I'm so proud of my car. And then your best friend from high school shows up and he's like, hey, dude, I just bought my, Lexus, whatever thing. You're just going to be sitting there like, well, I don't even like Lexus. You know what I mean? Like, that just happens. It just happens. And I feel like that's where a lot of it comes from. And I think people just need to get over that. That's why my biggest thing is they exist. Women who play video game exist. Women who are good at video game exist. Stop looking at them like they're some sort of mythical creature. They're there, and so when you see them, just treat them like anybody else that would be good at video games. They're not a rare breed. They're not something that you need to mythify and then also try to justify their existence.
Well, and one way to ensure that there are not going to be many women coming around is to continue to treat them like people do,
right?
Negatively. Mm-hmm. It's like a very self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right, exactly.
So that's bad news.
Right.
I just want to hang out and have fun times with whoever wants to play video games.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And And
many of them are women, and that's great. I hope that continues.
Exactly. And like I said, that's what we've all wanted growing up. Why won't women play video games with us? And now they do. So just be happy with it. Don't be surprised about it anymore. So.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I was not always, like, on board with this. I was a jerky kid. I get it. I totally get it. But everybody can, like, you can grow up and, like, understand things better and think about how other people view situations and have to deal with situations better and care about it. And you kind of grow out of jerkiness. It's not that...
Dude, it's funny because...
Not impossible. It's definitely doable.
So, Lillian Chen, Milk Tea, from the Smash community, I've barely ever had a chance to like talk to her in real life, right? And so this year at EVO, we actually got a chance to like hang out and talk a little bit, and everything like that, and I started joking about how like one time she was on Twitter and I was like, oh yeah, I still remember you from like EVO East and EVO West. I have these old photos because I used to take pictures back there, and so I showed her I linked her to the photos of herself, and people were like, that's really kind of creepy, James. And I was like, the fact that I could pull those up kind of fast, but then, it was funny because I told her, I was like, yeah, back then when I first met you, when you were playing Smash Brothers, I was like, dude, there's a girl who plays video games that's so cool. And it's like, no, I was that way too. You know what I mean? Like, I did the exact same thing, and I realized that that's not like what I should be doing. Yeah, exactly. And I've come to that realization, so now I'm not at that point anymore. If I see a girl in the scene, I'm not like, oh, are you here with your boyfriend?
Yes, dude. Sure. I mean, she was just telling me about this at, I think, EVO, of how that happened to her, like, at EVO and the previous tournament.
I think it was, like, CEO it happened. Yeah.
And, I mean, she's, SF4 players are OG now, and she is definitely among the OG set of those people. She's been in the scene for, like, 8 years. Long time. She is no rando. And she gets it.
Right.
So who doesn't get it?
Right.
If she's getting it,
So whenever I see a girl at a tournament, I always ask, who do you use?
Yeah.
Did you enter?
Yeah.
How did you do?
For sure.
That's what I ask, right?
That's what you ask everybody.
Don't ask, do you play?
Yeah.
Are you here just to spectate? Are you here with your boyfriend? That's the worst one right there. So, yeah. Any case.
I hear you.
Talking dogs, man. Talking dogs. So... anyways, yeah. So again, I know
Niners are OGs.
What's that?
09ers are OGs.
Dude, I
Fact.
called Kino a veteran one time, and that like hurt my soul.
That probably wasn't recent either, was it?
No,
that was probably last year or
It was
two.
like 2 years ago, I think. I called him
because
that.
it was. He was already. So yeah, that is true. And Sherry is certainly among them. She's been grinding the scene for a long time.
She's been playing since vanilla Street Fighter 4.
She has indeed.
She played since the original Street Fighter.
Yeah, man, Killer Miller's very legit.
Oh yeah,
she's a very good player.
Killer Miller is one of the best female players on the planet right now.
She's really good.
She's super good. She's super legit. So
definitely.
In any case,
haha.
Oh man, but yeah, honestly, like I just feel like the reason why I hate the fact that we still have to keep bringing this up every once in a while.
Yeah,
every once in a while.
It definitely does.
Again, when like Sherry is used to it, this stuff happens all the time to her.
So, as an example of that, I was on a tweet chain with Lumia, who's an NRS player. She plays in MKX and Injustice.
Yeah.
We're talking about games. I forget what it even was, but it's something about the actual game. And some butthole replied to her about her boobs.
Right.
And
like nice tits or something like
something
that.
just totally stupid. And like I looked back through his history, his like talks, and he talks to her all the time, and it's always that exact same kind of thing, and she never gets back to him, and that's a tough situation for her. Like, do you feed the trolls or not? Like, it's just it's bad news.
Yeah.
It's bad
also,
news.
Korea Soa, her jury is super legit right now. You know.
Yeah. Like that sucks to have to deal with, and Lumia responded when I was responding to that guy. Saying that it just really sucks to be talking about games and real stuff like that, and only recognized for your boobs. I imagine that would suck.
Right.
It's not something that like we deal with. It's not. So you
and I'm mad about that because my boobs are pretty impressive.
Well,
I'm gonna tell you, okay?
I'm telling you. I probably should though. You have to take the word of people who are getting that kind of treatment.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting that kind of treatment, so I wouldn't know about these things if I said it was not happening. If I saw like the Lumia thing and I was like, that never happens. This is a one-time thing. It's not, you have to take it seriously.
Right.
You have to listen to people about what their experiences are like, and
right. And it's just gonna keep getting bigger. The presence of women in the fighting game community, right? I mean, even for example at Evo top 8 for Smash Brothers Wii U for ESPN, Vicky Kitty was one of the commentators for that. Her and D1 did that for Disney, right? And Persia and Kujo K also got to do commentary at Evo as well.
Right.
So it's just gonna keep growing. I know there's also like Jackio Maynard's like really trying to get into commentary, and like a whole bunch of people are trying to get into commentary. And like not even from a commentary standpoint, Mama Dao is doing a lot of great TOing work and everything like that.
I mean, like at Evo, a couple of the most important people running events are Kat and Rachel. They're super important to a couple of different events, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
There was an interview question on the Abuget stream for Tanukana. Do you have a boyfriend?
Hey, there you go. I've never been asked. That's not entirely true, but I tend not to be asked if I have a girlfriend.
I'll fix this for you. I've never been asked.
Okay, fine.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean it sucks to be objectified. It's happened to me. It sucks. It's like an illuminating experience. In fact, that's a big part of why I started to not be as much of a jerk anymore. I experienced it myself and I hated it.
No, that's a great point. That is a great point. I said that she was one of the best female players in the world, and I wouldn't call Punk one of the best male players in the world.
Right.
He's absolutely right. And there it is. There's an example of how insipid
it's
and just
very
how
ingrained.
Much. Yeah, it's ingrained in there. So like, it's funny because he's absolutely right. I'm no better, and I'm really glad that he pointed that out because that was a mistake on my part.
Might not be a dude.
That's true.
I mean, you never know. There's a lot of people.
It's true. No,
like it sucks to assume. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Shouldn't be done. We should change things.
Again, I am still trying to work on this myself. I'm still trying to fix these things. Because like I said, I used to ask girls all the time, oh, are you here with a boyfriend or are you here to spectate? I used to do stuff like that too.
Sure.
And little by little, as we keep going,
Let's all grow up a little bit.
Exactly.
Even if you're a kid. It's hard to learn from experience of older people. I get it. I know,
Yeah,
I remember. But at the same time, it's useful, and it's not that hard to do.
It's tough when you're 15-year-old to understand that kind of thing.
Ding. Ding, indeed.
Okay. Any case.
Alrighty. Well, let's all be better.